All right, you guys. So today we are going to have our Solo: A Star Wars Story spoiler review. And today, guys, you kind of caught me on my set for my new diorama. I'm going to do a diorama of the train scene in Solo. So if you have seen Solo, and obviously you should have, because again, guys, this is a spoiler review. Warning, warning, warning. This is a spoiler review, and if you have not seen Solo, you want to go check it out before watching this video. So we're going to continue on with spoilers. From this point on, guys, you have been warned. All right, guys. So yeah, as I said, guys, I'm getting ready to get started on my diorama of the train scene. One of my favorite scenes in this movie, guys. If you saw my non-spoiler review that I put up on Thursday, late Thursday morning, early Friday morning, you know that I did thoroughly enjoy this movie, and guys, my feelings have not changed from that day to today. So guys, we are going to discuss spoilers once again, guys, and we're going to discuss this very enjoyable Star Wars. So my expectations out of this film was I was just looking for a fun Star Wars film, and most definitely the film delivered on those two very simple points that I wanted out of this movie. I kept it simple simply because after The Last Jedi, my feelings after The Last Jedi, really it took a lot of the taste for Star Wars out of my mouth. I thought Solo was a great film, and obviously I did enjoy it a lot more than The Last Jedi. However, what I will say is, if you want to compare the two movies on level of importance in the overall story of Star Wars, I would say that The Last Jedi is still a more important story, but it just wasn't delivered in a favorable fashion in my particular opinion. But this particular film did deliver, but it wasn't without its flaws, and I will discuss that later on in this particular review, guys. But I do want to start off with the positives with this film because I did enjoy it, and it did get a very favorable score, as you guys saw in my non-spoiler review. I want to discuss the characters. I really thoroughly enjoyed all of the characters. My least favorite character in the film, which would be L337, she might be my least favorite character in the film, but she did have some really cool points, and she plays a very significant part in the overall film, which made her an enjoyable and significant character to me. So overall, with the characters across the board, I enjoyed all of the characters. But if I had to say who my least favorite character was, it might have been L337. I think my favorite character, and probably the majority of people who went out to see this film probably enjoyed Lando the most. I enjoyed Lando the most. I think Donald Glover nailed that particular character the best. Although I thought Alden Ehrenreich did an excellent job with Han Solo. I'm not going to say it totally felt like Han Solo throughout the movie, but I can say that every situation that Han Solo was put through, I think for the most part, those moments in the movie felt like that's what Han Solo would have done. And I think Aaron Aldenreich did a good enough job to not make it feel like it wasn't Han Solo. Just basically make you not think about this guy who's playing the character of Han Solo. You're just there watching the movie and accepting it as Han Solo, and I thought he did a really good job playing the role. And I thought even some of his mannerisms actually at certain times was on point with Harrison Ford, which kind of helped to solidify that particular point, that I thought he did a fair job, a good job with the character. And again, I think the way the character was portrayed also helped along with that. And I would most definitely like to see Aaron Aldenwright return for another film, if that's what Disney has planned for the Solo franchise. I thought the chemistry between Aaron Aldenwright, Lando, Chewie, I love those three together in this young version of these three. I would like to see more of it, and it would be great to see another small little adventure that these three go on that, you know, kind of is another fun action film that we can go out and enjoy. I would appreciate that, but I would also understand if they wanted to keep it to one single little episode in the story of Han Solo. But I really enjoyed the chemistry between those three. I thought Emilia Clarke as Qi'RA was excellent. I loved her in this particular role. I thought the action scenes that she had to do were very, very believable, and I really enjoyed that aspect of the character. And I think the overall thought was that because she was the love interest for Han Solo, that she might sacrifice herself or be sacrificed or die in some form or fashion, and this would be something that would affect Solo and affect his change, the change in, or his transition into who he becomes when we see him in A New Hope. But obviously, again, guys, spoilers, Qi'RA does survive in this film, and not only that, but we find out that she is working for Maul. Yes, guys, big surprise, bam, boom, the big reveal in this particular film. Yes, Maul was in this film. Now, for the casual fan who only watches the movies and saw Maul die in The Phantom Menace, you might think, well, what is going on? Why is Maul here when he died several years ago? Well, in the Clone Wars, he has shown that he has survived. He did survive using his anger, using his hatred for Obi-Wan Kenobi to basically keep himself alive. He started out with this spider-like mechanical leg thing, drove himself mad as well with his hatred, and he had to be kind of brought back by Mother Talzin, his mother, and she also fashioned two mechanical legs for him that he would later go on to use in the Clone Wars. And then Maul's story is later expanded in the comic book Sons of Dathomir as well. We know at one point, which was depicted in the Clone Wars, that he was the ruler of Mandalore. He beat Pre Vizsla for the right to rule Mandalore in the Clone Wars. For those individuals who may have been confused about Maul and why he is appearing in this particular film at this point, he does live on past the Phantom Menace in the animated series and as well in the comics. And of course, now they have brought him into live action, which now begs the question. I've already told you guys how I felt about seeing another sequel. Well, now you throw Maul into the mix, and you have Qi'RA working underneath him, and Han Solo, obviously that's his love interest with Qi'RA, and he's obviously going to want to know what's going on with her. But we do know that he's going to obviously seek out Jabba. Jabba isn't mentioned in name in this film, but he is mentioned as the gangster who is putting together a big job. And of course, Han and Chewie are going to set out to Tatooine to kind of see if they can get in on this big job and make some money. So, and that's also a kind of another window that has been left open for a sequel to this particular movie, which again, I am all in favor for. I really enjoyed the characters. I would like to see a return of all of these characters. I did mention Lando earlier in this review, and my feelings on Lando, again, he was my favorite character. I think if I was to go into some of the negatives, but one of the negatives with Lando, I wish we got a little bit more of Lando, but that's only because he did such a great job. It just left me wanting more. Also with Qi'RA, I enjoyed her character so much. It left me wanting more. And again, if they wish to expand on that particular character in live action in a sequel, or maybe in a trilogy fashion with Solo, I would not be opposed to that at all. So again, guys, really enjoyed the characters in this particular film. I thought across the board, they did a great job. Woody Harrelson as Beckett, the mentor for Han Solo, and kind of giving Han Solo his outline for being a smuggler, I thought was very, very good and excellent work by Woody Harrelson, and I really enjoyed the character. Again, if I was to go into some nitpicky little negatives, I wish we would have gotten a little bit more with Beckett. I wish Beckett would have survived. Obviously, as you guys know, if you're watching this, again, spoiler guys, Beckett does not survive. He is actually shot by Han Solo. Yes, Han Solo shoots first, guys. Nice little nod and Easter egg right there for those fans who know the consistent argument within the fandom between, which is not even an argument at all, because George Lucas changed it. The special editions of the original trilogies, he kind of changed the fact that Han Solo shot first, and I think with this particular film they kind of brought it back where he shoots Beckett first, because Beckett was definitely going to shoot him, and I really enjoyed that particular nod to that and to the fans and that particular scene as well. But again, I wish that Beckett would have survived a bit longer and we got a little bit more from that character. But again, it's only because Woody Harrelson did such a good job with that particular character. The two-facedness of the character, the shadiness of the character, and I think, again, what he taught Han in the short time that they were together obviously left a great impression on Han, and is a big part of who Han becomes later on as we see him in A New Hope. So guys, really enjoyed the chemistry again with Beckett and Han Solo, even for the short period of time that they knew each other. I know some people may have a bit problem with that. I think character development in this film is going to be an issue for some people, just as it was for Rogue One. For me, it wasn't an issue in Rogue One. I love the characters in Rogue One. They're some of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars lore, and I think some of the new characters in this film are some of my favorite characters in Star Wars lore. Val, another character in this film that didn't get a lot of screen time, but I did enjoy, even though I wish we got more of it, I like the aspect of the relationship between her and Beckett, and how Han, and I think what they were setting up there for us, and the reason why we don't dive too far into that relationship between Beckett and Val, is because I think what they were showing us is that Han desires that type of relationship with Qi'RA, and he sees a lot of himself in Beckett. Qi'RA would be his Val, as Val is to Beckett, and them showing us that relationship between Beckett and Val was kind of something to let us know that that was a desire for Han Solo. So I really enjoyed that particular aspect. And then also, guys, I really enjoyed all of the vehicles in this particular film. As you can see, the Falcon, which was the star of the show, and that also reminds me the very key scene that L337 was involved in, or her key moment in the movie, is where they take her brain or her neural processor and they connect it to the Falcon, and that is how they are able to navigate the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. As Han Solo says, if you round down, it's 12 parsecs. So that's his theory on how he was able to navigate the Kessel Run so quickly. And then, of course, it was through the aid of L337. Her expertise was her navigation, as Lando had mentioned. So some really cool stuff that we learned, and nods that we got in this film in relation to the Falcon. It's always been represented as a character, even in Empire Strikes Back. C-3PO references how the Falcon is rude when he says to Han Solo, "I don't know where your ship learned to speak, but it's rude." Well, now we know why, because we were introduced to L337, who is basically the brain of the Falcon, and very much a character in all of the saga films for Star Wars. So really, really cool stuff that we got there with that vehicle. But we also then got the Imperial Patrol speeders. We also got Han Solo speeder. Then of course we also got the Cloud Rider speeders as well. We got a look at the AT-DT, which is really, really awesome. We also got a look at the heavy TIE Fighter, which is really, really cool looking with the little red light on the side. So I hope that is a vehicle that Hasbro is looking to produce. That would be very cool to get. And then we also got a very good, cool look at Dryden Voss's ship, which was really, really awesome. And again, I hope Hasbro has plans to produce that ship as well. We are getting a 6-inch version of this particular vehicle right there. So that is already up for pre-order with a couple of vendors already. I believe Dorkside Entertainment Earth has that particular vehicle up for pre-order. So you might want to check those vendors out if you're looking to do that. But you also may find this particular vehicle at your local Walmart or Target very soon as well. And then of course you would avoid the shipping costs. So just something to think about for those collectors out there who are looking to pick up that particular vehicle in the 6. Guys, overall, great vehicles. Really enjoyed this movie. Some great moments in this movie. The fight between Han and Chewie was really, really cool, and how they met. Of course, Han was able to stop Chewie from eating him when he was able to speak Wookiee. Now in Legends, we know that Han was raised by a female Wookiee, and that obviously would be the reason why he is able to speak Wookiee and is able to convince Chewie not to eat him, but to also help him to escape from that Imperial prison or jail that he was in. So that was a really cool moment to see how they met. And then of course, in the Spice Mines, we got that scene with Chewie, and he rescues the other Wookiees in the Spice Mines who are slaves in the Spice Mine, and that was a really cool moment. And then of course he comes back to help Han in the heist for the I forget that particular material that they were after in the movie. Really cool stuff right there, and really, really enjoyed those moments. Chewie slamming the guard on the ground was a really cool moment in the movie as well. And then of course the game of Sabacc of course was a key moment in this movie. Both games of Sabacc were key moments in this movie, where we had Lando kind of basically cheating at the game of Sabacc, trying to beat Han. However, Han was bluffing, saying that he had a ship that he obviously did not have. Of course, Lando actually ends up losing that particular game as far as I'm concerned as well, but that he is able to get in on this particular heist, which he actually doesn't get paid for. Actually, he actually loses twice right there. But I thought Lando was great, and I enjoyed that first game of Sabacc. And then of course in the second game of Sabacc, you have that moment where, and it's kind of a reverse scene from Empire Strikes Back, where Lando's playing the angry role because he's angry at Han for what he pulled. Obviously, it's what he did at that particular card game that we see at the end of Solo. And but in this moment in Solo, we see that Han is playing the angry role, but his intention is to take the card that Lando has stashed in his sleeve right there, and he does it successfully. And when Lando goes to use it at the end of the game to beat Han for the Falcon, it's not there, and Han obviously is able to win the game and win the Falcon. And then of course we learn how Han wins the Falcon. So really, really cool stuff. Now the argument can be said that some of that stuff is too on the nose, but you know, we all knew what the story was. just like with Rogue One, we knew what the story was. We just didn't see it play out in live action. And I think this is a very similar film in that regard, where we're seeing it play out in live action form. And I thought it was great, and I enjoyed it for exactly what it was. And that's why I scored this movie an 8.5 out of 10, because I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I had a great time, and I thought the story was great. Was it predictable? Yeah, it was predictable, just as Rogue One was predictable. We already knew what the story was. If they decide to produce a story about how the Bothans got the plans for the second Death Star, well, we know what happened to the Bothans as well. So if they produce that story, it won't be a surprise what the end of that story will be as well. So I'm not saying that they should produce that story, but there are little tales that get told in Star Wars lore that Disney is deciding to kind of expand on. And I don't see anything wrong with that, and I think it's kind of cool, as a matter of fact. And out of the movies, the 4 movies that they've produced, the 2 best ones have been the ones that have played on those little small stories in Star Wars lore. Kudos to Disney to get, and that's in my opinion, guys. But kudos to Disney to produce those movies and get those stories out in live action. I've really enjoyed them, and I'm going to go see Solo for the second time again this evening. So guys, there it is. Guys, again, I really enjoyed that movie. Again, at this point, it is an 8.5 out of 10 for me, but when I go see it again this evening, it could change. It could get as high as a 9.0, 9.5, maybe a possible 10. I don't know. If it would hit a 10, it would obviously be my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. I can't say that that is the case at this particular time. My list of favorite movies at this particular time is going to be Empire Strikes Back, Rogue One, Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi, A New Hope, and then Solo is going to be my number 6 favorite Star Wars movie of all time at this particular time, guys. I don't know if that's going to change after this evening. Is it going to go up one and surpass A New Hope, or is it going to drop down below The Force Awakens, which would be at number 7? And then I would probably have to go with Attack of the Clones at number 8. And then I would probably do Phantom Menace at number 9. And then, of course, The Last Jedi at number 10, guys. So that would be my list of favorite Star Wars movies as it stands at this particular moment, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are. Did you enjoy Solo? What do you think about the movie? What do you think about the reveal of Maul? Did you enjoy that? Were you confused by that? Did you watch the Clone Wars? Are you up on the history of Maul, guys? Put those comments down below, and let me know what your thoughts are, guys. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I want to know what your thoughts are, so put those comments down below, guys. And then also, guys, I will be producing my diorama of the train scene for the Solo film, guys, so please be sure to check that out. I will have that video up shortly, so again, please do check that out. I would appreciate it, guys. Put those comments down below. Please like and subscribe, and of course, guys, from the Father to the Son to the Obi-Wan Force Ghost, may the Force be with you always.